Good day, everybody. Not healthy. Happy Thursday. So I am up here at the park on the observation tower, just enjoying my day. And so I'm actually gonna put you on my stand. So hold on 1 second. Just wanted to show you guys my view for the day, for the moment. Let's see, can you guys see me? So I was trying to go live on the other side because on the other side there's actually some shade. So we'll see how this goes on today. But you guys can see some of this beauty. Hey, what's going on, Marshawn? I am at a park down here in Cincinnati. So for those of you who are joining me for the first time and don't know who I am Camille Aiko, and I hope that you are living the life that you love spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. So it is a beautiful day here. It's a hot day. Unfortunately, I could not get to the shady side because it was a bad signal over there. So we're over here today. And thanks for everybody who's joining in. So make sure you drop those ones below if you're going to watch this live. Drop a 2 below if you are catching this on replay. So as you see the sweat beads drop, it is because I'm hot. It is sunny, okay? But, you know, we have been studying the book, Are All Your Pieces in Place by Glenda Feilen. And so I am very excited about this book because it is really helping people in every aspect of their lives. And you guys know that that's what I'm all about, right? Helping each other in every aspect of lives. So let me ask you all this today. Are you always busy? Are you always just running around feeling like, okay, I've got something on my plate that I need to accomplish? And sometimes you might be so busy that you can't even hear yourself think. Y'all ever been in that type of situation before where you're so busy that you can't even hear yourself think? Let me know. Drop some hearts below, drop some emojis. Let me know if that is the case for you. So again, if you're catching this live, drop a 1, and if you're watching this on replay, make sure you drop those 2s for me. All right, but you know, how many? Anybody? Nobody lives life like that? Can you all hear me? Can you see me? Am I talking to myself on today? And again, for those of you joining in, if you don't know who I am, I'm Camille Aiko, and I hope that you're living the life that you love spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. I'm also the founder of Infuse LLC, where we believe that we transform lives through love. So if you're catching this on my business page, that's who I am, and that's what we are about. Let me make sure this is a good thing. So on today, from our book, Are All Your Pieces in Place by Glenda Feilen, we are talking about our spiritual self. So if you've been following along, and if you haven't, make sure you check the replays. We've been talking about how there's more to ourselves than just the physical self. That there's the mental self, there's the emotional self, there is the vibrational self, and today we are on the spiritual self. And so for each one of those, we are talking about how do you nourish yourself in those different aspects, and how do you exercise yourself. So today we are talking about that spiritual aspect, and we are all spiritual beings. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So before we even get into that though, you know, I just want to highlight the importance of why we're even doing what we're doing. So today there was a shooting downtown Cincinnati, and for those of you who don't know, that's where I am. And you know, so first of all, my condolences to all of the families and all the individuals who were involved in that. There were actually some people who died on today from the shooting. From what I understand, there was a disgruntled employee who went into Fifth Third Bank and began to shoot up different people. And because of that, many lives were lost on today. And, you know, even if it was just one life, that was one too many lives that were lost because of someone's senseless acts. But this is why we're talking about what we're talking about. Because when we get ourselves aligned and when we get ourselves in check mentally, spiritually, physically, we don't have to act like that. We don't have to allow ourselves to get to a point where we are so disgruntled with our job, or we are so unhappy with our life, or we are so unhappy with the people that surround us, that we would literally walk into a building and begin to shoot people up because they are unhappy with their life. And the thing is we can say, you know, I would never do that, and I could never make an action like that, or other people might look at us and say, I would have never expected that from that person. But the truth of the matter is that when we don't take care of our mental health, we don't take care of our spiritual health, we don't take care of our physical health, we don't know where our minds can go, because our minds are powerful tools. Okay, they're powerful part of who we are. And if we don't allow ourselves to really take care of our each and every aspect of who we are, we get to a point where we will literally just be zombies doing whatever it is in our creative subconscious minds. Okay, so you know, there was what am I trying to say? I'm just even at a loss for words as I begin to really think about the fact that we can allow ourselves to just vibrate so low and get to such a low place in our life. And so that's why I come on here and I share with you guys what I'm reading and what I'm learning about, because even on yesterday, somebody asked me, they said, Camille, what inspired you? Why do you get on lives? Why are you so consistent with doing what you're doing? My simple response was, because people need help. Guys, people need help. We need lots of help. And this is really stuff that should be taught in homes. It should be taught in schools, and it's not, but it should be. And so even if I can just get on here and share with a few of you all about what is going on in life and how our bodies respond and how our minds think, if that will just help one person, it is going to be better than nobody. If that can help save one person's life, then it's better than zero. Okay, so yeah, you know, so it's a kind of happy day. You know, I have friends who live down in Cincinnati. Their kids, they go to school right in that area. And so one of my friends was saying, you know, I dropped my kids off, and literally after she dropped her, or as she was dropping her kids off, she heard the resource officer on the speaker, whatever they have, right, and was just saying that there was an active shooter right around the corner from her children's school. And it's like, you just never know what might happen from moment to moment. And so that's why we have to live in the moment. We spend so much time worrying about our past and worrying about what is going to happen in the future that we forget to just take in life right now. So hopefully my signal is good. Can you guys let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me clearly, if anybody is there? All right, so when we're talking about nourishing our spiritual self, when we nourish our spiritual self, let me back that up, we experience life in the present moment, where gratitude for higher power, acknowledging that divine intervention is available in your life, experiencing unconditional love. Our senses are at a height of awareness. Our emotions create a light or vibrational self that vibrates at a rate unusual to ourselves. Like when we get connected spiritually, we are at a completely different level. It's kind of like, you know, those people who say they have outer body experiences, all right? And so when we get aligned spiritually, those are just some of the benefits that we are having. So how do you nourish your spiritual self? Just like what I was saying, is that you actually live in the moment. You begin to nourish your spiritual self, and we're all spiritual beings, by living in the moment, all right? You live in the right now. And again, we stop worrying about, okay, well, these are all of the bad things that happened to me in the past, or this is what just happened even a few moments ago, because what just happened a few moments ago is gone, it's done, it's over with. And then we start focusing so much on the future that we create anxiety in our lives. Like there's so many people who are suffering with anxiety, but that anxiety comes from the worry that they are creating from their minds that either has happened in the past, or worrying about something that is going to happen in the future. All right, so even part of being able to live right now, in the now, is being able to cut off the mental chatter that is happening in your mind. So just for a second, I just want you guys to stop thinking. Act like you're not watching this live. I can't see you, so it doesn't matter if you close your eyes. You can look weird, okay? But just take a moment and stop the mental chatter. Think about nothing. How many seconds are you able to really just stop and think about nothing? Most of us can't even do that. Most of us we're just so consumed with our thoughts. We're so consumed with what do we need to do next? What's next on the to-do list? Who do I need to pick up next? What child do I need to check on? What do I need to do? What do I need to do? We're constantly on the goal that you can't live in the now. But if you want to be able to experience a good mental, well, not mental because we're on spiritual, but if you want to experience a healthy spiritual self, you have to begin to learn how to live in the now. All right? So how many seconds were you able to actually stop and just think about nothing? How many seconds were you able to stop and think about nothing? And I'm being quiet on purpose because I really want us to be able to get into a space where we think about that there's times where I just need to enjoy the moment. I really just need to be able to enjoy looking at the clouds or listening to the birds chirp or just looking at the beauty of what is going on in life. Sometimes we can be so consumed that we can't even hear God speak to us, because we are so worried about, and our thoughts are so scattered on everything. I was having a conversation with my mother, and she was talking about they were traveling, and they were in in Walmart, and something about how big it was. And I was sitting there and I'm like, what? A watermelon, and watermelons are so big. Now listen, I'm sitting right there in the conversation with her, completely changed the story up because I was not in the present. And that's how many of us are, is that, you know, we want to hear from God. We want to increase our spiritual health, but we are so focused on everything else. Or should I say, we are so unfocused. We're focused on the wrong things that we can't even hear what God is saying to us because we have so much mental chatter going on, and we won't just stop and listen to what God is trying to say to us, because we are so worried about the past and we're so worried about the future. But you know, it's just like what Paul says in the Bible. He says, forgetting what is behind me, I press forward, right? And then Jesus says that if I would care so much about the flowers and the trees and the birds, why wouldn't I care about you? Why wouldn't I care for you? And that is the mentality that we have to take on, that we forget what is behind us and we press forward. Right? And then also in our press forward, though, that we aren't so consumed with worrying about our day-to-day things, because we know that God's got us. So we've got to clear that mental chatter so that we can be present in the moment, and we can hear that divine intervention, that we can hear God's voice speaking to us. God has been speaking to some of us, and we've been like, but God, I can't hear you. And you're right, you can't hear you, but it's not because God is not talking to you. It's because you are so busy and you are so consumed with the cares of this life that you can't hear him. And then you're like, I don't know what my purpose is. And God is like, I'm trying to tell you, but you won't listen to me, baby. Slow down. Slow down and listen to what it is that I'm trying to say to you, okay? So let's see. Let me read something to you from the book on page 134. So again, we're doing a book discussion on all your pieces in place, and I'm kind of really just talking at this point. I mean, this is everything I'm saying is, of course, provoked from a thought from the book, but let me read this to you. It says, where am I at? The more you live. So the more you live in the now, the more frequently your spirit will stretch its wings and fly to higher places and be one with your source, to be inspired and unconditionally love. So the more that we can clear our minds and really just tune in and live in the moment, the more God will speak to us, and the more we will feel his love, and the more we will be clear about what it is that we are supposed to do and the direction in which we are supposed to go in. So are you really living your life in the present? I mean, really, are you really, really living your life in the present? I know that there's tons of areas that I need to work on. I just gave you all an example when I was speaking with my mother, and she was talking about how big the Walmart was, and I thought she was talking about a big watermelon, right? I guess I heard the W and the A, and then I heard big, and I just started making up my own story about what it is that my mother was talking about. In Walmart and watermelon had nothing to do with each other. And we can get so confused and messed up in our lives. Now, had I not been like, okay, I'm clearly unfocused and I'm not really hearing what you're saying, I could have gone back and repeated the story that my mother told me and she told me, and gone and told somebody about this big watermelon that she experienced while she was traveling, right? That's how so many of us do, though. I was talking to a business partner and friend, and he was talking to me about a topic, and I began researching what he was saying, and then he kept going on, but I was so focused on what I was looking at that I was like, hold on, wait, stop. I don't even know what you were saying. So I'm on the phone, I hear the voice, but I'm not understanding, I'm not comprehending what it is that he is saying to me, because I was not focused on what he was saying. I was focused on what I was doing. And so I was missing the whole point of the conversation. I was missing out on everything that was happening right there in the moment. He could have been saying some great news, like, I'm about to give you $1 million, and guess what? I would have missed it. You know why? Because I wasn't tuned in. How many blessings are you missing out on because you are not tuned in with what God has for you? You're not tuned in with what God is trying to say to you. Slow down and listen. Slow down and get in tune. Slow down and get aligned so that you can truly begin to walk out what it is God is trying to tell you to do. Okay? So are you living in the present life right now? Or are you so consumed with worry? You're so consumed with the past or the future. So let me go to page 135. This is the place to constantly spend your time for maximum creativity. And this is, in fact, let me back up here. It says there's this book, Practicing the Power of Now, and the author says that when you can live in the present moment of your life, you're enjoying yourself by being in joy with yourself, right? When you're quiet and when you can hear clearly, it's like you can actually enjoy who you are for you, and you can experience just that happiness and that peace that so many people long for. Just like the person who went into the job on today, you know, they probably felt like, okay, well, I can experience peace once I get rid of people that I think harmed me or did me wrong or criticized me or talked about me or didn't pay me what I was worth. They were looking for something. They were looking for some type of compensation, some type of peace, some type of something, right, for what they did. And of course what they did was wrong. But so what I'm trying to tell us is how we really get to a point of peace in our life is not by allowing all of the chatter and the negative thoughts to come and overtake our life, but it's to be quiet and to be calm and to hear the voice of God. So to be in the moment, to be in the place of now, this is the place to constantly spend your time for maximum creativity. When you are in the now, your subconscious or your creative mind taps into huge amounts of universal inspiration. All of ourselves are working together. So your mental self, your spiritual self, your vibrational self, your emotional self, everything begins to work together. And your present is being created with synchronicity. You are inspired as to which actions to take rather than working off a mundane prepared list, right? Some of us, we have these to-do lists and we get everything checked off, or we don't get everything checked off, and we feel like, okay, well, what am I doing with my life? So some of us, for those of you who are checking off everything, but you still feel unfulfilled. Like, okay, well, I have my to-do list, I checked everything off, but there's still something that I'm missing in this life. And then some of us, we have these long to-do lists and we know we got things to do, but we're uninspired to accomplish what it is that is on our list. All right? Okay. So it is the flowing of energy that makes things happen, not uninspired actions. You are aware of being in the present moment and are accepting it. It's yours to love. It's yours to live. It's your life. Don't miss out on your life being so consumed with things that don't even matter, or being so consumed with things that aren't part of your purpose. And many of us are missing our lives because we are not walking out. We are not living in our purpose. We are not in the moment, but we are everywhere else. Okay? So, and I know it's hard because we live in a fast-paced society, right? It's like go, 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 go. You got to do this. And if you're not doing this, then you're not being successful, and you're not accomplished in this area, and you're not doing this, and you're not doing that. But at the end of the day, guys, it's really not about the societal parameters that what has been put on us. This is really about walking out your calling, your divine calling, what God has placed you here to do. And that should be your measurement of success. Like, stop paying attention to what everybody is saying your life should look like, and really live in the moment and hear what God is saying your life should look like. Okay? Get the clarity from above. All right? So let's move on. So how do we get to a point, because life is busy, because life is crazy, how do we get to the point of being able to nourish our spiritual self? Okay, so how do we get to the point where we are able to nourish our spiritual self? There are 4 steps that Glenda Feilen, the author of this book, says to us. Okay, number 1 is stop thinking. As we've been talking about, stop the brain chatter. Stop allowing yourself to be so consumed with everything that's going on. You know, some of us can't sleep at night because we are 10,000 million thoughts are going through our mind just like that, right? And so it takes us forever to fall asleep. Why? Because you are filled with brain chatter. Learn how to slow your mind down. And it's going to take practice, but with the practice, you'll be able to get it. So you sit down, you relax, you close your eyes, and you can say different affirmations, but you want to focus on just the silence. You hear that? It's the silence, right? That's what you do. You just begin to live your life in the moment. Stop stressing about unnecessary things, okay? 2, be aware of your breathing and heighten your sensual awareness. All of your senses, sight, touch, sound, smell, and taste. So when God made us, God breathed life into us, right? So our breath is very important. It's only one breath, and our life can be gone if we miss it, right? That's all it takes for you to miss one breath. Stop breathing for a second, and it's over. Our breath is important to really just align and center ourselves. So even, you know, if it's singing, it's about breathing. If you're exercising, it's about breathing. You're walking, it's about your breathing. Your breathing, take a deep breath. Stress, people say take a deep breath. Why? Because it's something about being able to take that deep breath that you are actually stopping for a moment and allowing all of that stress to just leave your body, and you can become clear on what it is that God is trying to tell you. You can hear yourself think in just those moments. So if you learned how to control your breathing, you're going to be able to hear yourself clearly. You're going to be able to hear God clearly. In fact, you're going to be able to hear others clearly, right? I gave you all 2 examples of conversations literally that just happened this week where I was so consumed with my other thoughts and whatever else that was going on around me that I completely missed the points of what people were saying. Some of y'all are missing out on your children's lives, your spouse's lives, because you are not in tune. You're thinking too fast. You won't slow down just to hear what it is that they have to say. Okay, so, you know, even as I'm sitting up here, like, I'm enjoying this breeze that's happening. There's people walking around, but I'm not focused on them. I'm focused on doing this live. I'm focused on, you know, just enjoying this moment of being able to help people and being able to share the information that I have learned, and now I'm able to come on here and talk with you all about. All right, so if this is making sense, and if this is helping anybody, make sure you drop a comment, drop a like, drop a love, share this video, because people need it, okay? Now, 3, be totally accepting and non-judgmental about what is happening. Simply live in the moment. You know, I could be completely concerned that I'm up here sitting on the floor in this observation area, very high up in the air, and just being like, okay, well, I can't go live because, you know, all these people are walking around me, and who knows what they're going to think about what I'm saying or what they're going to think about me. I'm living in the moment right now. For all I know, my words can be helping the people who are walking around me. right? You just live in the moment. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge other people. Just live in the moment. Just live in the moment and find peace in that. Find peace in living in the moment. Right? I'm not concerned about if this glass is going to break and if I'm going to fall down. And it's a pretty far fall, right? I'm not worried about that though. I am concerned about this moment, talking with you all, sharing with you all, enjoying this day, doing personal development with myself and with you, group development, right? All right. So what are you smelling? What are you touching? What are you seeing? Be in tune. You know, there's times where I've driven down the highway. In fact, I gave you all the example because this is what really pops out to me. Is when I was taking my niece home, right? And I was not in tune with what was going on. I drove right past the exit to take my niece home. Why? Because I wasn't in tune with the moment. I was just like mindlessly driving, right? How many of us mindlessly do things and we need to stop and we need to breathe and we need to get in the moment. We need to get aligned with our spiritual selves. Okay, so be totally accepting, I already said that. And 4, nourish your spirit by feeling gratitude and acknowledging that divine intervention is present in your life so that your spirit can exercise and feel an inner connection with your higher power. And for me, that's God, okay? And for most of you who are on this, that is God. So this becomes stronger as you practice living in the now. This becomes passion for life. You know, this is why Jesus had to go away, why he went away to the mountains. When he was, after he spoke to the crowds, he would go away into nature and he would talk to God and he would pray. Or there would be times where he just had to get away from the disciples, right? Because he needed that time to go and become one with his spirit. He had to go become one with the Father. He had to go become and just listen to what it is that was being said, right? He had to go recharge himself. Some of us, not some of us, but all of us, we need to take time to go and recharge ourselves and just be one and be quiet and be calm, right? So Confucius said, wherever you go, go with your heart. All right, wherever you go, go with your heart. And so as you begin to do this, you know, you're in feeling gratitude, it's going to change your attitude. And even though your attitude is very important, it's not the only thing. So it's your attitude connected with action that is going to help you to get to the point of your life where you're experiencing joy, where you're experiencing happiness, and you're experiencing success. And you're not just going over that to-do list as we talked about, but you are actually like inspired to do the work that you do, right? And just going along with the example of today, you know, with the shooter who was a disgruntled worker from my understanding at her job, right? You know, she obviously was not in tune with herself spiritually. She wasn't in tune with herself mentally, because if she was, then she wouldn't have allowed herself to even get to the point of being disgruntled that she was going to go in there and shoot up the place, right? You know, when you get aligned with what it is that you're supposed to be doing, you don't just wake up and go to work so that you can make a paycheck. You get up and you go to work because you are inspired to do what you are doing. So if you are going to work every day and it's not an inspiration and it's not helping people, rethink what it is that you are doing. You should not just be living your life for a paycheck, right? You should not just be living your life for a paycheck, because when you begin to just live your life for a paycheck, then you will become unhappy. You will become disgruntled. You will become depressed. You will become all of these low vibrating feelings and emotions, and then that's what you are exuding out into the world. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Dexter Scott? So, you know, you have to make sure that you are aligned spiritually, because when you get aligned spiritually with God and with who God has called you to be, then guess what? Then you can have inspired work. and not forced work, or, I'm just doing this because this is what I got to do to make ends meet. This is what I got to do just to get by. No, nobody should be living their life like that. You should be living an inspired life. You should be living a divine intervened life where God is guiding you and showing you what it is that you're supposed to be doing. But you can't do that if you are allowing the mental chatter and you are allowing the past or the future to come in and completely take your mental peace and disturb your spiritual being. Okay, so you want to make sure that your attitude and your actions get aligned, and really, as you become spiritually aligned, like, God will just begin to downpour into you what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And those to-do lists that we have, those mundane to-do lists, actually become irrelevant, because God will just begin to say, okay, go this way. This is who you need to talk to. Boom, here's this grant money that you need. Boom, this is what you need to do over here. This is the person who is going to help you. I have a friend who, she was working this job. She was unhappy. Co-workers didn't like her, boss didn't really like her. She ends up losing the job, but in the process of losing that job, she was able to connect with some people who have now put her in a position where she is doing her mission. She is doing what she is passionate about, and God has just been opening doors for her left and right. She's been on the news now. She's had a couple big events with her organization that she has started. Why? Because she stopped all of the unfocused noise that was going on in her life, and God is now putting her on a path to follow her dreams and to be in tune with what it is that He has placed her here to do. But she had to get out of her own way. A lot of us have to get out of our own way, and we've got to get in tune. And once we get in tune, then we can put those mundane lists away, and God will just be able to be like boom, 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 boom. Now, until that time, you want to keep your to-do list, because it's your crutch, right? It's your crutch until you really become synchronized with what it is that your calling is and what God has purposed you to do. So you don't want to get rid of it too soon, but as you grow, because this is a process, it's not going to happen overnight. As you grow and as you understand what it is that you have been put here to do, and everything begins to align, it's just like you just are so in tune with your purpose that everything you do just aligns. Everything you touch turns to gold. Everything just happens, and just purpose is just lining up, and it's lining up, and you're like, you know what? My goals, my dreams, my passions are being manifested right now, and it's taking little effort in order to do that. Okay, so when you live with this type of present awareness, conscious control of your emotions, about your thoughts and imaginings, high vibrational attractions of things you desire, and a realization of a connection with God, which turns into passion about your goal. The result is inspired action that manifests your goal in your present physical world. Guys, you can have what you want right now in this present physical world. You can have it right now. Absolutely, you can have it right now. That relationship that you want, you can have it right now. That job that you want, you can have it right now. That business that you want, you can have it right now. Whatever it is that you want, you can manifest it. But you have to do the work. You have to put in the work of nourishing yourself daily. You have to work on yourself daily. And then you have to exercise it. It's not just going to happen overnight. But the more you implement what we've been talking about, the more you practice this, the more that you are going to be able to see that you can have the life that you love. You can create the life that you absolutely love. And you don't have to be like that shooter here today in Cincinnati who went into the bank and shot up people because she was unhappy with our lives. When we are unhappy with our lives, we do things that are completely off course of your purpose. We do things that are completely off course of who God has called us to be. We get in those unhealthy relationships. We stay in those unhealthy friendships. We get married just for the sake of getting married because we are afraid of being alone. We do things way too long knowing that, hey, this has nothing to do with propelling me to what God has called me to be, all because of fear, all because of doubt, all because we are not living in the moment. We are not living in the now. We are not getting in tune with our spiritual self, and we are allowing the cares of the world to take us away into a place where we shouldn't be. If this is making sense, make sure you guys share this, drop a like, put a heart, let me know, put an amen in the comments, say something to me, let me know that what I'm saying is helping you out, okay? So, you know, what are some of the benefits of just having a synchronized life, right, with your mental, your spiritual, your physical self? When you are living in synchronicity, you are more productive. Life is more fun, and this is with no stress, right? Because you have learned how to channel your emotions. You have learned how to channel where you are mentally. And so even though problems are happening, it's not stressing you the way that it once was, because you know how to manage those problems. So it may not be an ideal situation, but it can be an ideal situation because you know how to manage your life. You know how to manage everything. So eventually, with inspired actions, you will be flying so high that your altitude will control your attitude and your actions. Warning. Do not be so obsessive about following your list that you impede your ability to be in the present of each moment and hear the beneficial inspiration. You know, we might have a to-do list and it says we need to do X, Y, and Z, A, B, C, D, and E, right? But then God comes in and says, don't do that. If you really want to get to your end goal, go over here. But some of us are so consumed with what is on our to-do list that we can't hear the divine intervention. We can't hear that beneficial inspiration that comes and says, no, go this way, go and do this. My father tells a story about how when he was working for a company, they were like, okay, we're short. He was in finance, and they were like, okay, well, how are we going to come up with this money? You know, where is this money going to come from? And he said he went and he prayed about it, and in that prayer God showed him exactly what it was that they needed to do, to the point that his boss said one time when they were coming down to another place, a similar situation, they said, can you go and pray? Can you go and talk to God and ask him what it is that we need to be doing? Because God can come in and he will give you the clarity and the inspiration that you need for your next move. But you can't hear God if your mind is so consumed with chatter, if your mind is so consumed with everything else that's going on, right? We can be sit physically in a place, in a conversation with someone, and hear absolutely nothing that they have said. And it's the same way that we are with God. God can be speaking to us, but we hear absolutely nothing that he has said because we are so distracted. Be quiet. Feel the wind. Feel the things that are going on in your life. Be in tune with your spiritual self. Okay, so create the habit of feeling good by living in the present. In the present, you are not pretending anything. You are not allowing your life to be as it is without resistance. We can live this life and we are just so resistant to the things that are happening when we aren't living on purpose, right? Don't be resistant. Allow life to happen. Live in the moment. Live in the now. You're going to experience so much freedom when you do. When you live in the present moment, your now, you will find passion behind everything you think and feel. By being in the now, you can connect with that higher power, which will speed up all that you desire. You can connect with God. God says that he will give us the desires of our heart, right? He will give us exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask, think, dream, imagine. But we can't do it because we stop ourselves, because we are so in tune. Okay? By being in the now, you can connect with God. Said that. Let's see here. This is the benefit of a balanced spiritual self. So feel joy by living in the moment and set yourself up to experience spiritual heights. Wherever you are, be there. Wherever you are, be there. You know, if on your job you would decide, hey, I'm going to be in the moment, I'm going to help resolve the issues, I'm going to be the best employee that I can possibly be, you never know what doors that's going to open up for you. Even if you don't want to be on that job forever, your work ethic, who you are as a person, your reputation will follow you, and doors will be open because you were living in the now, not because you were worried about the fact that you didn't want to go into your job and you didn't like the job and your coworkers get on your nerves and your boss gets on your nerves and all of that, right? But you can begin to enjoy life right now, and for all you know, people will start calling you and you don't even have to interview for that job that you've been wanting, but your reputation will precede you because you're living in the now. And that's what I mean by then God will begin to open up doors and miracles will begin to happen in your life that you didn't even expect. How beautiful is that? In fact, miracles happen right now, but we can't even see those miracles for the same reason. We are so consumed with problems and issues. All right, you know, or some of us, we're just completely blind. Now, of course, I'm not completely 100% sure of all of the facts of the shooting that happened today that I've been discussing, but one of the people said, one of the eyewitnesses said there was a young woman who was walking into the bank, and when she was walking into the bank, they tried to warn her. They tried to tell her that there was a shooting happening in the bank, but because she had her headphones on and she was just, you know, whatever, in her own thoughts, not paying any attention, when she walked into the bank, she got shot. And of course, prayers to her family and to those in her family and friends. But some of us, that's how we are, that we are just walking blindly into situations that are leading us to our spiritual death. We are blindly cutting out things and blocking out everything versus being in tune and being aware with our present moment, that we are literally walking into our death. We didn't even know it. We don't know it. So be aware. Understand what's going on. Pay attention to your surroundings. Live in the moment. Live in the now. Stop being distracted. Stop being so blinded that you can't see what's happening, that you can't see that there is destruction lying ahead of you. All right? Because you can live the life that you want right now. You can create the life that you want right now. So anyway, guys, tomorrow, Friday, we are going to be talking about how to really exercise our spiritual self. So on today, we have talked about how to nourish our spiritual self, and that is by living in the now, you know, being able, and I gave 4 different steps on really how to get to the point where you can live in the now, because oftentimes we're so busy, right? So live in the now. Go back, watch this video if you need to. I'm about to go work out and enjoy the rest of my day. I've enjoyed talking with you guys today, so hopefully it has been beneficial to you all. Let me give you all a piece of my view real quick before I leave, for those of you who missed it earlier. So just out here, y'all see how far down that is? Yeah, it was so funny. I was up here the other night, and this is a sidebar. I'm done with the review now. But it was so funny, the people who came up here and they were like casting their fears on their children. It was like, don't look down, you can't look down. And the kids were like, well, why can't I look down? They were like, because you just can't, you just gotta look out. Like, stop casting your fears on your children. Like, so now those kids are gonna grow up thinking, well, when I go to high places, I can't look down, I can only look out. You know what I began thinking about? In fact, before I tell you that, there was this other couple, and they started reminiscing about different bridges and high places, and they were like, you know, there's people who, they go up to the top and then they jump to their death. And I'm just like, how morbid, like just our mental thoughts. So as I stood up here on today, I said, you know what, I'm not going to think negative, like people committing suicide and jumping off, but what if I jumped and I began to fly? Or what if I jumped and God's angels came and caught me? You know what I mean? Like, just what if I just began to float like on a cloud? And just thinking, you know, we need to overcome those fears. I know that might have sounded crazy, but we create these things in our minds. Like, some people were just like, I gotta go down, I can't take this. And some people were like, Little Susie, don't run. It's scary up here, right? This is the older people talking to the young kid. Little Susie, don't run. It's scary up here. And the little girl was so frustrated. She was like, stop. It's not scary up here. It's only scary to you, right? We can put these mental constraints on our children and on people because we are so limited in our thinking, right? We have all of these fears in our minds. So go be fearless today. Go conquer a fear. Go conquer some of the stuff that you've been doubting about you. Like go have some conversations with people. Go live life. Stop being scared. Stop putting limiting beliefs on other people. So count that one as a special nugget on today. All right, I'm out. I'm Camille Aiko. I hope that you are living the life that you love spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. Talk to you guys later.